Welcome back, everybody. I I just realized, like, you can see this huge knot on my forehead. Um, I was washing the boat the other day. I'm still in Florida at this moment, and helping my friends get a boat ready for season. And I was washing it, and I totally cracked my head on this metal piece that like sticks out. And so when you're cleaning and you're trying to get under this thing, I totally turned my head and it just whacked right into it. So anyway, in case you were wondering like what the heck's wrong with this chick's head, that's my story. Just, getting wild out here. Uh, so that's embarrassing. I just kind of noticed it as I was starting this video. So anyway, let's move on. Um, Two things I want to talk about really quick. I started this series about approaching life differently, and I'm not sure how long it's gonna be. I didn't really realize it was a series until I kind of started this video. So if you're a little confused, please go back to video one. Um, yeah, and then if you have questions, comment questions and or yeah, we can meet somewhere. I have a lot of stuff in the works, so we'll get to hopefully I'll just get to it. I'll just answer it for you. Or just ask me a question and I can answer it on here. But anyway, the other day I talked about approaching life differently and and jobs and how I approach jobs differently. Um Today I was gonna kind of touch on relationships and how growing up I was always the peacemaker and situations would get intense at my house or just in friendship groups at friends' houses. And I know from an early age I would I would like make jokes or I'd be you know, gross or very unladylike. And it was to distract people from whatever was going on in the moment. And so I've turned into this like peacemaker, what's the word everyone's using these days? Yeah, just like making sure everyone else is okay and their emotions are okay and like, you know, there's no fighting, there's no anger, there's no um I don't know. It's what I do and I'm working on it. Um, but anyway, I was thinking about how in the past, I've always approached relationships, even friendships with this like peacemaker attitude. And whenever there was like a conflict, I would immediately try to like smooth it over, make it better. I know when I was in like the service industry in restaurants, I noticed this thing happening where like something something wouldn't happen, like glassware hadn't been polished the night before and I was on shift the night before and you know maybe it just got forgotten, it got pushed somewhere else, whatever. And the management just would sometimes turn into this like, well, who did it? Who did it? Like very blaming of other people. And so I would, of course, be the one trying to make the situation better. And I'm like, I think we just forgot, or blah, blah, blah. Or it was apparent that it was somebody dropped the ball. And as I got kind of more into these like leadership roles, or I was never management, I was never a supervisor, but sometimes at a certain point I'd been there longer than a lot of people. And so instead of letting someone take the fall, I would just take the blame, right? I'd be like, oh, that was probably me, sorry, and then polish the freaking glassware and ask people to help me and blah blah blah. But I've noticed that like throughout my life with relationships, that's not serving me well, right? Making sure everyone else is okay and making sure their life, like their emotions are smooth, isn't helping me go anywhere, right? It's not helping me become a better version of myself. So with relationships, it's interesting, right? Because there's a lot of emotions that happen, strong emotions. And I read this in like Mel Robbins' book about Let Them. She was saying that you feel these emotions for, I think it's 90 seconds. Like most emotions last 90 seconds. And most people are feeling these emotions and then they're reacting as if they're their 8-year-old self. And when she said that, it was pretty profound because I was like, yeah, I mean, I think I've been approaching most of my life with these strong emotions, and I was always shut down, told to like shut up, be quiet, like don't or I was, I'd see somebody rocking the boat and I'd immediately be like, "Oh, don't rock the boat." So I'd go in and make it better so the boat didn't rock. And I realized that, you know, most of my life, all these people around me have been operating from these emotions and they're reacting as if they're their 8-year-old self. And I realized I was reacting from my 8-year-old self. That was me coming out to play and making sure everyone's okay, being the peacekeeper. And so I've been really trying to approach I say relationships, but I really just want to talk about like interactions with people. It's not really relationships. Um, I've been trying to approach my interactions with people a lot differently and essentially letting them have their emotion, their reactions, knowing that that's how they feel. Um, it could have been from something I said or something I did, but they're the ones having the reaction to it. They're the ones having the emotion towards it. And so let them, thank you, Mel Robbins, let them have that reaction, have that emotion, honor it. And then instead of trying to essentially like make it okay and be the peacekeeper and whatever, I'm slowly learning to like approach the situation differently, right? Like in my old jobs, not taking the blame for someone else, instead offering solutions and offering how can I help without like throwing someone under the bus. I mean, again, I never really threw someone under the bus. I feel like I always took the blame for whatever was happening, but instead of taking blame or assigning blame, you know, as good humans and as good leaders, it's like, let's provide solutions instead. Like, oh, the glassware didn't get polished. Okay, well, let's polish it now. Let's make it a polishing party. Like, let's have fun. And really just trying to be not sweeping under the rug, but just being more open and honest about my own feelings, making sure my reactions match the situation. Somebody spills milk. It's like there's no reason to go full metal jacket on someone because they spilled milk. Like, you know, have the emotion, the anger, the sadness, the desperation, the frustration, whatever it is, release it and then react to it. And it's been very interesting approaching different situations and dynamics and people and relationships with this knowledge now that I have or this and putting it into practice. And it's also very difficult, right? Because you have to basically change the whole way you have been taught or have been programmed to interact with people. And so, yeah, approaching conversations that need to be had, approaching individuals that, had a reaction to something you did or said, um, instead of approaching them from like this old way of how we would approach them, like we would, get angry or frustrated or blame people or whatever, like I just talked about, instead come at it with kindness, come at it with compassion, come at it with empathy, come at it with solutions. I feel like one thing in a lot of jobs I've worked and even relationships I've had, not necessarily intimate ones, but just friendships, coworkers, colleagues, this like solution based, like work with solution based aspects, stop blaming people, stop telling people what they did wrong. I mean, it's so funny. Like someone can do 10 things right and then they do one thing wrong. And the only thing everyone talks about for the remainder of the frickin' season is the one thing they did wrong. And it's not helping anyone become a better person. It's not helping anyone become a better worker, coworker, colleague, friend, partner, whatever the case may be. It's like, yeah, I just feel like how we interact with people, how we approach situations needs to change. All of us need to change. And I've been really trying to work on that heavily. And again, Mel Robbins' book, Let Them, was a huge eye-opener of how our emotions affect our reactions and then how we were basically programmed to have those reactions. Again, I was the baby of the family, so there were big emotions in my family, and there was also a lot of conditioning that happened, hundreds of years ago, that like women, shouldn't stand up for themselves, and I don't know. So just, yeah, being the baby of the family, trying to be the peacekeeper, make sure everyone's okay all the time. It's exhausting, and I'm really trying to get through this next year, um, having these interactions with people, and come from a different place inside me that's not my 8-year-old self acting out, fawning, being a people pleaser. People pleaser. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So yeah, I think um I think approaching our how we interact with people could use a facelift. So think about it, comment, let me know what you think, share a story. Uh, I don't know. Tell me what you want to hear about. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thanks for joining.